Hi, my name is Telea Martin and I'm from Louisville, Texas, and I'm applying for an in-flight team position. I'm looking forward to joining an amazing company that will allow me to explore new opportunities and challenges that will help me enhance my current professional career. Within this video, I'll be providing you with my background experience as well as my current goals and ambitions. My professional career actually started when I was 16 to 17 years old as a professional clown, which I think is one of the best learning experiences I've ever had. It taught me how to be patient and how to provide excellent customer service to different personalities, not just adults, but to young kids who really, it's hard to figure out what they really want and need. As a professional clown, I did a lot of different things. I did face paintings and magic tricks, and I played games with the kids, and I just basically ran the entire party, which is a lot of responsibility for a kid. Like I said, it was one of the best experiences that I've ever had, a lot of fun, and I think it taught me to think outside of the box a lot, especially with how to come up with solutions that may not be the norm, but will always put a smile on the customer's face at the end. After that life-changing experience as a clown, I decided to switch it up and work in a high-pressure environment at the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. I actually got a job at Subway, and I know you're thinking pressure at Subway, making sandwiches. And no, we didn't have the $5 foot-long deal yet. But I went from working with a couple of people to almost 200 to 300 people within an hour, where we had to fix their food correctly, get it out, and make sure that they were leaving with a smile. After working as a cashier for a while, I actually did a great job and was moved up to management. I had a lot of different responsibilities, like being in charge of the cash, training new hires and making sure that they were providing great customer service. I was in charge of opening and closing the store and just overall daily operations. It was really an amazing experience because it was probably the first time I really felt pressure with the job. There's just so many things that go on with working at an airport. Like, you have to hit time frames, people have to be in and out at a certain time. We have to worry about getting people escorted in and out of the airport because you can't just walk in anymore. There's just so much that you have to think about when working at the airport. After working as a manager, I actually got moved up again and got to work for Subway Corporate and was actually in charge of 10 divisional stores, making sure that they were up to health code, not having any violations, and just basically making sure that their stores were running the Subway way. A lot of people don't know that most Subways are franchises, so there's someone that comes in from Subway Corporate that makes sure that everything's being followed directly by the book and they're not just doing it the way that they want to. You have to do everything uniformed, which is basically how a lot of companies run. I really enjoyed my time at Subway. Like I said, it gave me a lot of opportunity to meet different types of people from different places all over the world. Also, it made me think outside of the box, broaden my horizons, and just overall taught me to grow up. I went from being a child and, doing childish things and being a clown to being an adult and basically in charge of everyone else's career that was under me. It was pretty awesome. Moving from Subway to my next job, I guess I could say the reason and motivation behind that was, like I said before, moving from, being young and growing up and getting a real job. I had to take on more responsibilities, and one of those included health benefits and car insurance. So I had to get a job with benefits. Luckily, an experience kind of fell in my lap to where one day, I don't want to say it started out positive because it didn't. There was a customer, an irate customer, and they were kind of getting into it with one of the employees. in which I had to come out and diffuse that situation. Luckily at the end I was able to, of course, to diffuse the situation by calming the customer down, explaining the miscommunication between them and my employee. I also, let them know how I could improve the situation and make it so that they could leave happy and satisfied with the outcome. And someone happened to be standing there, another customer, who thought I did an amazing job, and they offered me a job at Citigroup, which happened to be close to home as well in Irving, Texas. I applied as a customer service sales associate. The training was probably some of the most intense training I've ever gone through, actually dealing with real life calls. They kind of just throw you on there with, at first they had no set script, and I'll talk about how I enhanced that later on, but there wasn't really a script to follow, and dealing with irate customers is kind of scary, especially when you're thrown in there. Luckily for me, I have a talent with dealing with customers and just kind of turning someone's frown upside down. I was amazing at sales, partly because mostly sales is just personality and making someone like you. It's kind of like a first impression, but over the phone. They can hear your first impression through your voice. If your voice is inviting, then they're definitely going to be open to whatever it is that you're, trying to tell them about, teach them about, or sell them. After working as a sales associate for a while, I actually became the #1 sales associate in the site within 2 months, and then within all sites within 6 months. Thank you. It was a huge accomplishment. I was asked to actually mentor and help others, not only my peers, but new hires that were coming in. So starting from scratch, and that's where I actually came up with a short script that got me noticed and moved into the training department. The script that I developed just made it a little bit easier for new hires to feel comfortable with customers on the phone. That way they weren't just like thrown into it. They actually knew where they were going with this conversation and how to kind of lead the customer instead of letting the customer lead them. Moving out of that into training, I got to work hand in hand with new hires daily. I got to be in the training classes from beginning to graduation, and then they actually created a different position for me that wasn't there before, in which I would move on with the new hires and actually mentor them the first 3 to 6 months that they were on the floor. So I got to work hand in hand with them, sit side by side with them, listening to the calls, in action right then, kind of helping them get through different types of issues, whether it's the customer having issues with their bill or charges that were incorrectly on their bill, whatever it was, and then turn that negative into a positive and sell them something at the end. How hard is that? Super hard. Trying to get someone to sign up for roadside assistance after they just had 10 miscellaneous charges on their bill. Super hard, but nothing I couldn't accomplish. Or teach someone else to do as well. So that was my job for about 2 years. After excelling at that job, winning a few awards for that, I was moved over into the RPL oil department, which deals with gas cards. And I was actually the RPL sales manager, performance manager over in that department for a few years. I worked with multiple different teams, not just the one team anymore. Now I was in charge of 6 different teams, and I went to each team and whatever it was that manager needed for a specific representative or their entire team, whether it was sales, motivation, whatever it was, that was my job, to provide them with actually enhancing the call and making sure that the customer service was on point, and then they were able to close it with a sale at the end. I turned that department from actually the lowest department out of all of the sites, domestic sites that we had, to #1. They started to fly me to different domestic sites, so I would go and mentor different sites. And then I actually got promoted to the international sales performance manager and was in charge of 4 international sites. I had 2 in Mumbai, India, 1 in Monterrey, Mexico, and 1 in Guatemala. I was able to provide sales training, training materials. I got to create my own training materials and training decks, which was something different as well. So that was a skill that I developed, making PowerPoint presentations and being able to not only teach in person, but now I had to teach online and over the phone where they couldn't actually see me and I couldn't touch someone. It's a lot harder to teach someone when they can't see you than it is when you're face to face. You know, you can't really tell if someone's paying attention, if they're really picking it up, if they're listening or doing something else at the same time. There was a lot of challenges with that job, but you know, I made it work. I turned 2 of my sites were the #1 and #2 sites out of domestic and international sites. The other 2, they weren't far behind. They were actually 4 and 5. There was a #3 in there with my competitor. We went head to head with her site, but she was always #3. We were always #1. I worked with different languages, different cultures, just all different types of things. I was able to travel to different places, going to Mumbai, India, going to Monterrey, Mexico, and actually meeting people in person. It was probably one of the best experiences of my life. Traveling, I loved it. Just getting to know the cultures and how to, you know, make them understand what I was saying and be able to project that over the phone where they, you know, had their own language barrier with the customer. You know, we had to figure out different types of things. It was just amazing. I have to say it was like one of the best things that I've ever learned from and dealt with in my life. At the end of my Citigroup career, I did a lot of project work and creating project trainings. I was the lead developer on all training materials for the international sites and the domestic sites. At the end of my career, I created multiple trainings from how to answer the calls and just give great customer service to blending into the sale and making it not sound so much like a sale, but just, you know, more like how to enhance your card or how to enhance the capabilities of what your card offered. You know, just how to make it more fluid and how to make it just more comfortable for the customer so that they didn't feel like you were just trying to make them buy something and purchase something that they really didn't need. I came up with probably there was a 6-step process for this training material where it takes you from beginning to end, just basically laying out word for word what to say and then how to make it your own. Unfortunately, Citigroup did a lot of downsizing and my department was entirely laid off. But that's okay because that's when I started my bartending career. I was already taking the class and learning everything that I needed to know to start a bartending career, and that's kind of how I moved into that part of my customer service career. Now, bartending is a totally different type of customer service experience. As you see, I like to go from one thing to the next, total 180s. I like to try it all. Bartending actually allowed me to tap into my creative side because I'm a super creative individual. I've always been that way. I've always been the one to build something or create something, like making my little sister's Halloween costumes. I still make everyone's Halloween costumes every year. Actually made my best friend's mermaid costume this past year. And bartending was just one of those things where I could be creative and just try something new. I actually worked at the #1 club in Dallas, Park Avenue. It's one of the largest and most popular clubs here. It holds about 2,500 people a night, and that's how many people show up. After working there for a while, I moved up to their head bartender, which allowed me to really get my creative juices flowing because after a year of working there, the owner started flying back and forth to Vegas to the bartending convention, and he actually took me with him 2 years in a row and paid for me to have different classes which enhanced my mixology skills. where I learned how to utilize fresh ingredients. I learned how to become a trained sommelier and all about wine. I learned about beer, how it's made to how you can change it up to other things, which is amazing. Using foams, just all kinds of things. He put me in so many different classes, which when we came back, he gave me free range to actually put together not only a drink list, but a 25 bottle list, to where we would have pre-made bottles. Instead of selling an actual bottle of Grey Goose, we would sell our own bottles of liquor, where we would mix these up and package them in our own bottles and take to the tables. One of the drinks that I also created, which I named Surfboard, actually took off. How it started was Grey Goose came in and they brought in Cherry Noir, and they wanted us to create a drink that we could actually push Cherry Noir. They really wanted to get it out there and known within different clubs. So I created this drink. It was actually multi-layered drink where blue is on top, yellow in the middle, and red on the bottom, so it kind of looked like a rainbow. Also, we put a little blinky light in it, and it became one of the most popular drinks in North Texas. It actually helped our club become the #1 account for Grey Goose for 2 years in a row. And it also gave me the opportunity to become a brand ambassador for Douce and Grey Goose, where anytime that Douce or Grey Goose comes in, I get an email and they ask me to be their either VIP or celebrity bartender. The coolest event that I got to do was actually backstage for Beyonce and Jay-Z at their tour, and I actually met Jay-Z in Memphis Bleak. It was awesome. You know, I couldn't act like a family. It was pretty awesome. And I got to create a drink for them, and it was actually sold at the concert, so it was pretty cool. Not only am I a brand ambassador for Grey Goose and Douce, but I'm also a brand ambassador and competition bartender for Ambar Tequila, which is an amazing tequila if you haven't tried it. The reason that I say all of this is because one of my future goals and ambitions, which bartending has helped me realize, is that I want to take all of the skills that I've learned and I want to open my own bartending university. And I say university because I don't want to just teach new people that want to come into this field. I also want to help my peers enhance their skills with, you know, whether it's becoming a sommelier or just learning special skills like utilizing foams and fresh ingredients. So that's definitely something that I want to do in the future. Something else that I'm also working on and have been working on for a while, that's kind of a hobby but took off a little bit for me unexpectedly, is that I started my own clothing line called Unicorn Mafia, which I'm in love with. Unicorn Mafia is really just, it stands for everyone and just realizing that every person is special and believing in yourself. Some of the things that I make are t-shirts and hats with some, you know, uplifting sayings and just amazing artwork on the front. It's just something that I love to do. Like I said, I'm very creative, and I really needed to put all of my energy that I was holding inside into something, and just something tangible that I could hold and love. Really, I did it for myself, and people just started to like it. So, and my current goal and ambition is to be an amazing in-flight team member for Virgin America. And you know that I'd be an amazing asset to the team because I'm always giving 110%, as you can tell. I am great with people from infants to the young at heart, and my customer service skills are on point, and they always will be. So please consider me for this position. I really appreciate it. Thank you.